I remember like first kind of diving into like Flagrant when it was the original crew.
Yeah. With Cass. Shouts to Cass.
And it was like kind of like a weird sports podcast, but it evolved into something else like very fast.
Yeah.
But for people who don't know, like what were the original like, because obviously Andrew went from like Guy Code to Brilliant Idiots and then launching Flagrant. What was kind of like the original crew? Like what was the original, I guess, theme of the show because now it's its own thing. It's way different than it was.
Yeah. Going super far back, when Andrew started Brilliant Idiots, I said to him out loud, "This is the only time I've ever been jealous of you."
Right.
Is when he was doing the podcast with Charlemagne. Right. And it wasn't like real jealousy, but like really what I was thinking in my brain was I had nothing. I wasn't on Guy Code, I wasn't on TV. So he had to take that opportunity. Charlemagne's amazing and huge. So I was like, you got to do that. But in my mind, I was like, if we did a podcast, I think that shit would go.
Right.
So I obviously go crush it. Brilliant Idiots did great. And then when Andrew started talking about us doing a podcast a few years later, I think he felt like he wanted to start another thing also. Mm-hmm. I was obviously down, and we had been kind of like brainstorming, and we did a Brilliant Idiots episode with Kaz. We thought Kaz was great, so we brought him on board, and then the idea of doing sports, which I love sports. I could talk sports all day.
You always are throwing your little tidbits in about sports that make me be like, oh, he's a real sports guy.
Yeah. And Andrew likes sports, but he also understood something that we had talked about, which is like, yo, we can slowly dip into these crazy things we say, like when we're hanging out, just saying wild jokes about whatever.
Right.
But an easy entry point is sports, because sports fans tend to not get super triggered about anything.
Right.
They're not, it's not political, it's just sports.
Yeah.
So the idea was always to evolve it into something else. And then Alex got more and more involved, and that was amazing. He was so funny, and like we would encourage him when he would chime in. We'd be like, dude, you're funny, chime in.
Yeah.
And then Andrew started working with Mark, and Mark is a brilliant kid, super funny, super talented. He's a star. And I didn't know him that well.
And he's doing stand-up now.
He does, Well, he started as a stand-up.
Oh, I didn't know that, okay.
Yeah, he's been doing stand-up for years, and that's how him and Andrew connected.
Gotcha.
He opened for Andrew, and then Andrew brought him on board. He was like, he's a smart kid. He has like good ideas for merch and all this stuff. A lot of the set design of the new set was Mark.
Oh, the set's crazy.
He does so much of our YouTube stuff. He's a fucking brilliant kid. And so when Andrew was like, I want to start bringing Mark on the pod, I was like, yeah, I don't know him super well, but bring him on. And then I got to know him. He's a great kid, and it just evolved into Flagrant. And then when we built the new studio, we wanted to try to find a place for them as well,
right,
on camera, because they contribate so much off camera.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
It's just evolved into this like 4-guy hang.
It is definitely a hang.
Yeah.
And I love it because it is like the most, I'll be saying the craziest shit.
Son.
I always, when the podcast is on and my wife's in the car, she's always like, what the fuck are you listening to? She's like, what's wrong with you?
My wife doesn't listen. There's episodes where I'm like, hey, I think you'll like this one.
Yeah, listen to this one. Don't listen to this one because you might divorce me.
Yeah. She's just like, all right, fine.